Hello and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About. Let me just quickly say that I did not intend for this name to reference Good Mythical Morning's Let's Talk About That, but I am a huge GMM fan and did used to watch LTAT all the time, so I do think my subconscious made that happen. In today's episode, I was requested to talk about blueprint communications, and when you say that, I believe you're talking about different ways blueprints can talk and interact with each other, whether that is to perform an action or just to retrieve a value. However, if you meant something else, please let me know in the comments below so I can talk about what you wanted specifically. When it comes to the different ways a blueprint can talk to one another, there are a couple ways that's the easiest to get started with. The first one, I feel, is the reference variable. If you give your blueprint a variable of the actor you want it to be able to interact with, you now already have the ability to drag out that and access/manipulate the intel of that blueprint. However, you'd need to have a valid reference for this to happen, otherwise Unreal won't know who the crap you're talking about. The simplest way you can achieve this is by exposing the variable. Then, if you go into the world, place down both of these actors, you should see the eyedrop tool next to the variable in question. Clicking the eyedrop, then clicking the actor you want to be in the reference will make the reference valid, and thus you are able to use it whenever you want from that blueprint. Another commonly used way to communicate between blueprints are blueprint interfaces. BPIs are something you can add to any and all blueprints you want to be able to use it. They will all have the ability to call the same interface function, however with custom and unique outcomes. For example, a door can have a BPI. When interacting with it, it opens, but a chest can also implement the exact same BPI, but when calling it on that, you open the chest instead. This makes the BPIs very simple and easy way to provide functionality to many blueprints using the same interact code. In order to set up a BPI, you right-click on your content drawer, go over to Blueprints, then select the Blueprint Interface options. Opening that up will prompt you to name the function. You can name it Interact for now. BPIs also have the ability to have inputs. In this case, we are adding a first-person reference when interacting, simply because that means we will pass along a valid reference from the player in case we want to manipulate or retrieve information from it. The player character also likely have access to other references, such as the HUD, which in return will have valid references to other important things. So passing along a valid player ref opens up the world to communication. The next thing we're going to talk about is casting.
You're a wizard, Harry.
I'm a what?
Harry, you're a wizard.
I'm a what?
A wizard, Harry.
I'm a wizard?
Yes, Harry.
Something of which you've probably done countless of times, but let's give it a chat anyways. Casting basically checks to see if the object is who we want it to be. If it is, awesome, we can continue accessing variables and such. If not, the cast will fail and we won't do anything. Failed casts are one of the places many people have an error, and these errors usually don't show up as error messages either. So if you're stuck somewhere on something that you're 100% should work, and it contains a lot of casts, do a print on the cast failed. There might be something you've done wrong to cause it not to succeed. Casting to a player character is simple enough. Simply do a cast to the character with get player character as the input. If, for example, you use get overlapping actors node, it will return with an array of actor object references. These are all valid inputs for a cast to node. Casting is also good to be used when you have an actor reference and you need to figure out who that actor is. For example, if it can be 3 different actors, then casting to them one by one, plugging in the next one to fail until you get the successful cast out. And finally, let us talk about event dispatchers. Event dispatchers are probably the most complicated communication method of all 4. However, once you've wrapped a head around it, it really isn't. Event dispatcher kinda acts like a beacon, and everything that can see that beacon will respond to it, and everyone else will ignore it. This particular way of communication is great to give out information to multiple actors at once. For example, if a boss died and you want a couple zones to be unlocked in the world, or just a door to be open, there's plenty of ways you can implement the power of an event dispatcher. Okay, so let's stop jabbering about it and let's create a very simple event dispatcher that simulates us killing a boss and having other actors listening to it. So the first thing we will do is create a BP_bossman. I'll give him a skeleton mesh and a capsule. Then let's add a float variable named health and set that to 100. Let's also create an event dispatcher on him called dead boss. Head into the event graph and right click anywhere you want, typing in any damage. We're going to set our health to our health minus the incoming damage. Then we're checking if our health is greater than 0. If it is, we don't do anything. However, if it's not, that means we're dead. So we're dragging out our event dispatcher and calling it before finally destroying the actor. Now let's create a very simple door that we can use to listen for that event. I'm adding just the normal door frame and a door mesh, then heading into the event graph. In there, I will add a variable which I'll call bossref and of type BP bossman, making sure I tick instance editable on it. Now I can drag out that reference and bind to the dead boss event we made previously. Dragging out from event, creating a custom event, calling it dead boss event. Right clicking anywhere and typing in add timeline, calling it open door and plugging it into the play of the dead boss event, adding a standard float track of 1 second and ranging from 0 to 1, then dragging out my door mesh and setting relative rotation. Splitting that open right away, our float track we're going to lerp out of using the float track as the alpha and setting B to 90, leaving A as 0 and plugging it into the Z, and we're done. Now let's go to our first person projectile for a quick second, casting to BP bossman out of other, then applying damage, and also heading quickly into the weapon component to disable the sound. Now, if we kill the boss, you can see that the door, which is listening for that boss dead event, is being fired and it opens up. You can also, for example, use this inside your level blueprint. So let's set up a quick action or call to action over there. On my level blueprint, I'm going to make the window a bit smaller so I can see all the actors in the world. Then I'm going to drag in my bossman. I will bind a new custom event to this event and just going to make it destroy all the meshes around me once fired. So as you can see, event dispatchers are quite good to have, and just using them over and over again will make you understand them just a tiny bit better. So start making your own call to arms and play around with it. Hopefully I managed to explain these 4 methods of communication just a little bit. I'm still learning how to teach, and yeah, we will get there in the end, buddies, I promise. For now though, I'm signing off. If you like turtles, you should probably like this video too. Until next time, I'll see you later.